Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Josh. Here we geek out about books. We talk about reading and our love for literature. So if you're into that, just stay a while and take a watch, take a listen, comment down below, spend some time, let's just hang out. February in Canada is the month of love, and there are so many different types of love. There is parent-child love, there is sibling love, there is extended family love, there is romantic love, platonic love, between friends. So this particular video, I want to dedicate that to love, more specifically romantic love. So we're going to be talking about 5 books that I really want to read that relate to the romance genre. The first one that I'm excited to discuss is called Between Friends and Lovers, written by Shirlene Obuobi. And recently I've read a book by her and I really enjoyed it, honestly. So I'm really curious to see what comes next from her. This particular book I do not believe is out yet, but it gets published later this year. And this has already received 4.69 out of 5 stars on Goodreads from the ARC readers. So that's a good sign so far. It currently belongs to just the romance genre, but we'll see if other genres are added as more ARC readers receive a copy of this book. By the way, if you're sending them to people, I've read ARCs before, I can help you out, I can give you a review. Let's check out what it is actually about. I'll read the blurb to you. So, Talia Hibbert meets Carly Fortune in the swoon-worthy story of love and friendship in the age of social media, where what you see might not be all you get. To her countless Instagram followers, Josephine Boateng is the dazzling Dr. Jojo, and her opinions on health, growth, and self-love matter. Her message, be smart. She has a medical degree after all. Be significant, and do not put up with foolish men. But behind the camera, Jo's story is more complicated. She finds her influencer career underwhelming, her potential career in medicine overwhelming, and she's hung up on her best friend, Nepo baby and rom-com heartthrob Ezra Edelman. When Ezra shows up to his 30th birthday party with her childhood bully on his arm, however, Josephine realizes that it's time to take her own advice and prioritize herself for once. No one is more shocked than Malcolm Waters when his debut novel turns him into a critic's darling. When he's invited to a swanky penthouse party to discuss turning his book into a film, he knows rubbing elbows with the elites of entertainment will be great for his career. The only problem, he's not good with people, and even worse at networking. Just when he's about to throw in the towel, he's rescued by none other than Dr. Jojo. He's been following her on social media for years, and she's even more impressive in real life. And to his bewilderment, the feeling is mutual. But in a world where the lines between private and public are as blurred as those between friendship and love, can they risk it all for something real? Okay, this sounds really good, and a couple of reasons why. One, yes, it's by Shirlene Obuobi, so that definitely gives points to this particular book. But 2, it sounds like it's not just a regular romance. It sounds like it's a little bit deeper than that. That this actually comments on friendly love, on platonic love, and how that really shapes a person's story. And I'm really excited to see how this characterizes the main love story, the romantic love story. It sounds so good. Plus, its cover, it's beautiful. I love this trend of art right now on romance novels. I think it's so appealing and so fun. Let's see book number 2, shall we? This one has probably been on my TBR for the longest. This is actually a Goodreads Choice Award winner. It won I guess it didn't win, but it was a nominee for Best Young Adult Fiction in 2021. This one is called Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. And this one belongs to not only romance, but also young adult and magical realism. And if you've been watching my videos on this channel for a while now, you know that I love me some magical realism. Plus, there is a really unique element to this particular story. So without much further ado, let's check out what this says. In this romantic page-turner from the author of Everything, Everything. That was actually a huge bestseller, and it became a movie too, so I hope that means that this book is good. And the sun is also a star, also a bestseller, I believe, and that also became a movie. Evie has the power to see other people's romantic fates. What will happen when she finally sees her own? Evie Thomas doesn't believe in love anymore, especially after the strangest thing occurs one otherwise ordinary afternoon. She witnesses a couple kiss and is overcome with a vision of how their romance began and how it will end. After all, even the greatest love stories end with a broken heart, eventually. As Evie tries to understand why this is happening, she finds herself at La Brea Dance Studio, learning to waltz, foxtrot, and tango with a boy named X. X is everything that Evie is not. Adventurous, passionate, daring. His philosophy is to say yes to everything, including entering a ballroom dance competition with a girl he's only just met. Falling for X is definitely not what Evie had in mind. If her visions of heartbreak have taught her anything, it's that no one escapes love unscathed. But as she and X dance around and toward each other, Evie is forced to question all she thought she knew about life and love. In the end, is love worth the risk? I don't typically gravitate toward young adult books, especially young adult romance, but, like I said, there's a unique quality to this book. And that quality that I'm referring to is the fact that this centers around ballroom dance. And my wife and I met, we didn't meet, I guess, but we got to know each other and became friends and started dating as ballroom dance partners. So I'm really intrigued by this. This has a really nostalgic feel to it, and I really relate already to it, because if they're going to fall in love while they are ballroom dance partners, then I'm probably going to fall in love with this book, because that's how I fell in love with my wife. So I'm really, really looking forward to reading this one. And this is probably going to be one of those books that I prioritize over others, just because it's been on my list the longest, and also because there is a personal connection to this storyline. We have another book here. It is Not Again by Kwana Jackson. This one is interesting because this is actually the second book in a series called the Real Men Knit series. And I read the blurb of the first book, and I'm not really interested. But I found this book in the library and added it to my Goodreads from there. And the second book seems more intriguing to me. And if I understand this series correctly, these stories are not directly related, and each book acts as a standalone one. So you can actually read them independently without having read previously written ones. I hope that's the case, because I want to read this one and not the first one. This one here has 3.36 out of 5 stars. Not bad, not bad, not bad. And it belongs to the romance category and contemporary fiction. So, sounds good to me. Let's read the blurb. Sometimes local fireman Lucas Strong feels like he can only find any peace and quiet at the local laundromat, where every day is rinse and repeat, until a fateful run-in with his high school crush. Hoping to attract more customers to his family's knitting shop, Lucas Strong participated in an FDNY charity calendar and accidentally became a local celebrity. FDNY? Is that Fire Department of New York, maybe? The only place he can find solace is Scrubs, a 24/7 laundromat where he can disappear for a couple of hours. But Lucas's soapy sanctuary is shaken by an inquisitive little girl with a late-night interest in knitting, whose mother is his old-school crush. Sydney Harris Hughes knows that Harlem is like any other small town, and everyone is probably whispering about how she left such a good man and a good life behind to wash and fold laundry by the pound. If only they knew the truth. But Sydney will always put her daughter's happiness first, even if that means moving back to Harlem and facing her past. What Sydney never expected was to see Lucas Strong again. A long-forgotten attraction kicks into high gear as Lucas and Sydney start to spend time together at the laundromat, and they must decide if this is true love or just an infatuation, thin and as fragile as a soap bubble. I like that. I like that comparison. So this is interesting because the first time that I read this in the library, I thought it was about crocheting. But now it says it's about knitting. Well, regardless of the fact that it's not about crocheting, and the reason why this was important to me is because I'm a crocheter. So I thought it was really cool that there was not only crocheting as a main element in a story, but a man who crocheted. That's not very common, so it's nice to connect with other guys who do it, even if they're fictional. But that's okay, because I still like the idea of this story. I like the fact that a man owns a shop that is, against the grain of masculinity, at least, masculinity as society perpetuates it to be in North America. I also like the fact that this is a romance, and there's a nostalgic quality because it's his old crush, and the fact that she's a mom now, and how he's teaching her daughter how to knit. I think that's really cute. And the fact that it sounds like it's going to be taking place in a laundromat. That's an unusual location for the books that I have read. And I love changing things up in terms of settings. I'm still going to read this book. It still sounds intriguing to me. And I know it's at the library because I did see it. Anyways, moving on to the next one here. This one, I love the cover of this one. This one's called The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. This one intrigued me just by the cover. I love the colors. I love the composition. I love the fact that it's called The Neighbor Favor. So I'm quite intrigued by this. Yes, I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but unfortunately when it comes to real books, I like to see covers that are appealing. If they are beautifully designed, I'm more likely to pick it up. And I sometimes will close my book while I'm reading and just kind of look at it and admire it. So this one has 3.79 out of 5 stars. This one again is romance, and it belongs to contemporary fiction. Let's read the summary. It says, in this heart-fluttering romance by Christina Forrest, a shy bookworm enlists her charming neighbor to help her score a date, not knowing he's the obscure author she's been corresponding with. Shy, bookish, and admittedly awkward, Lily Green has always felt inadequate compared to the rest of her accomplished family, who strive for black excellence. She dreams of becoming an editor of children's books, but has been frustratingly stuck in the nonfiction division for years without a promotion in sight. Lily finds escapism in her correspondences with her favorite fantasy author, and what begins as two lonely people connecting over email turns into a tentative friendship, and possibly something else Lily won't let herself entertain, until he ghosts her. Months later, still crushed but determined to take charge of her life, Lily seeks a date to her sister's wedding. And the perfect person to help her is Nick Brown, her charming, attractive new neighbor whom she feels drawn to for unexplicable reasons. Little does she know that Nick is an author, her favorite fantasy author. Nick, who has his reasons for using a pen name and for pushing people away, soon realizes that the beautiful, quiet woman from down the hall is the same Lily he fell in love with over emails months ago. Unwilling to complicate things even more between them, he agrees to set her up with someone else, though his simple favor between two neighbors is anything but. Not when he can't get her off his mind. Though this simple favor between two neighbors is anything but. Not what he can't get her off of his mind. Interesting. This sounds like a movie, does it not? This sounds so good. I hope this gets picked up and gets turned into a movie. It sounds like it would be a really good rom-com. And I love the fact that, he's still helping her out despite the fact that he likes her and would rather be with her. I think that kind of sacrificial love is really beautiful, and I feel like you don't often see that a lot nowadays. So I really like this. This sounds really sweet. I want to read this. Maybe I want to read this before Instructions for Dancing. I want to read both. Do you ever feel like sometimes there are too many books and there's not enough time to read? That's how I feel. My TBR is way too freaking long. If these videos I post are any indication of that, man, you should see my actual list. The last one here is called Single Dads Club by Therese Beharry. This one has 3.49 stars out of 5. And this one is also a contemporary romance. But what's interesting about this is that this takes place in South Africa. And I don't think I've ever read a book that takes place in South Africa. I think linguistically speaking, it's a really fascinating country. I think it has 11 official languages or something. And one language that I absolutely love is Xhosa, which I tried learning back in the day. I don't know how many years ago now it was, but I tried learning it. I think in the Zosan language, it's called Isimplosa, something like that. It has these cool clicks, and I am a huge language nerd, so I'm sure they don't really talk about those things, but just the fact that it takes place in South Africa can kind of make my imagination wander and make me think and imagine, what kind of cool cultural elements that they might introduce and what kind of languages might be spoken in the background. I'm weird like that. Like I said, I'm a huge language nerd. Anyways, this particular book says it is about these two people. Let's read about them. In this warmly funny romance about finding your way, opposites attract when an ex-heiress and a single dad cross paths, only to find that their separate roads may lead them to the same destination. Rowan Quinn knows fatherhood is a role he doesn't want to take on, until he unexpectedly finds himself a single dad. He uproots his perfectly constructed life to move to a tight-knit coastal community in South Africa, where, with the help of his grandmother, Rowan has a shot at giving his son the family he never had. Once footloose and fancy-free, former heiress Delilah Huntington is now a waitress in Sugarbush Bay, determined to build a better life and a better self. So when she meets introverted Rowan, she makes it her personal mission to induct him into the town's circle of single dads to give him the support he needs. The more Delilah lends her help to an out-of-his-depth Rowan, the more Rowan begins to realize that family is what you make it, and just, maybe, Delilah could be a part of his. Aw, this sounds sweet. Sounds like a simple story, but it sounds really sweet. I also like the fact that it's about a single dad, and while I know that's kind of a trope in romance literature, you don't often see a single dad who enters a community of other single dads. So hopefully there's some cool camaraderie there that we get to see in the story. I'm looking forward to see that grandmother relationship there between him and her and see that familial love as well. So there you have it. Those are the books that I am very much looking forward to. I am so excited. If you have any romance novels that you're excited by, let me know in the comments below. I look forward to reading them and discussing them with you. And yeah, until next time, have a wonderful day, night, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. And thank you so much for spending this time here with me. Until next time, bye for now.